All right, just a little bit more to go on the suburbanization of America. And as always, seeing how this ties into the other chapters, please make note of the other chapters that you'll be responsible for in the final exam. The final will be next Friday for this class on e-learning. That date is April 30th. April 30th. This today will be our final class, so you'll have the next week to get caught up on any lectures that you may have missed. All lectures, including this one, are being recorded and posted. And make sure, again, you look through the syllabus to see which chapters you're responsible for. It's not every chapter is in the book has been assigned, and it doesn't always go in chronological order. And definitely get over to that library over the next few days. You got a lot of time that you can make up with. By and large, I think everybody in here, I haven't, tallied the points in a while, but it looks like everybody in here is in pretty good shape in terms, the final grade. But let's go ahead and finish strong. I don't want y'all just, trying to pass the class or having to avoid repeating the class. I really want you all to do well. And, make sure that you take time to really, to take time to understand the concepts. In my conversations with you all, you generally have seen like you've been able to do that. Just study some of these terms a little bit more closely and you'll be golden. So we're almost at the finish line, a little bit more here for this chapter. So we talked about, again, the symbolic morality of the suburbs. And again, one of the things that's really important to note in this course throughout is that these places, there's a certain social political angle to them as well. It's not just physical places, but there's meaning to these places. Even in terms of the papers you all had to do. We didn't speak to this as well as I would have liked, but one of the things that you'll observe in national politics is just how different the voting patterns are in cities and compared to more rural areas in some suburbs. And a lot of that, again, is based upon the demographics that we talked about in terms of the federal policies that have put some people over here and some people over there. But it's also translated into a certain value system. So much like we talked about with the Jesuit chef and Gaiman chef in the early chapters in the first half of the course, we see this transferring over to the suburbs as well. The suburbs, again, are viewed as a world of nonviolence and non-confrontation. Again, Philadelphia, you may have to be subjected to all types of, potential violence and just being, having to deal with things that may be a little bit out of your personal norms and comfort levels. So the suburbs are viewed as a place to escape that. Again, as we see, whether it be the relocation, I know for sure, for example, right, the suburbs outside of Chicago, it ain't, you can't really go and hide. Especially a lot of in Chicago in particular, and this has happened in a lot of suburbs, there's a lot of relocation. So a lot of places on the south side that used to be the ghetto, a lot of those people are being now moved out to the suburbs, and some of the same issues and challenges are coming along with them there. Additionally, we see every other week, well, hell, every week, unfortunately, there's a mass shooting somewhere in America. And those mass shootings ain't going on in the inner city. So this notion that you can be protected and that you can have sustained civility outside of city limits has been greatly challenged. We talked about, again, the edge cities, where more and more, again, the cities were the place where, the main, the pull factor of cities, the main pull factor of cities was, business and commerce. In the early 20th century, with the Industrial Revolution really got into full throttle, people were coming from manufacturing jobs, but as those manufacturing jobs disappeared, there were more service type jobs. Malls, restaurants, massage therapies, tax places, Apple stores. So you'll have a lot of those places. So like, in certain places where, the IKEA, the Apple store, the Starbucks, all in one little area. So you have more and more edge cities that are being designed like that. And we talked about, again, those fall into the categories of uptowns, boomers, and greenfields. As we concluded on Monday, again, there's a new urbanism where more and more cities are being designed differently in the 21st century. Through this course, we walked, again, really 10,000 years ago. But most of our discussion is focused on the Industrial Revolution, which began in the late 1700s. And from that time, cities have been kind of designed in very uniform ways across the world, based upon people coming to do manufacturing type work. As we shift into the 21st century, those kind of structures are no longer really prevalent. As we talked about, there aren't like, steaming factories or steel mills in like, major cities. It's more, again, within the service economy. One of the things, again, we talked about, right, have discussed throughout, is how cities are often viewed as like, not really having like, community connections in the way that, a lot of more rural areas are. And a lot of that may be like the absence of a porch. It's like I recall, so I know they had to be some older Southern cats, but it would be this couple that lived in the building I was in, like the last building I lived in Chicago. And they would like, go and like take their chairs and sit out front, of the apartment building, like, and like it looked crazy. It's like, so they like more or less made them their own porch in front of the building that belonged to everybody. It's pretty annoying, actually, and very abnormal. But I can understand people's longing for community again. You sit on your porch again, like you may see, near Allen. People sitting on the porch, you get to know them. There are probably some people I have, done that. There have been people I've gotten to know just in like, coming back and forth to work. People sitting on the porch, we get to talking, find some common ground, and that is how communities get sustained in rural areas, and increasingly in some city environments as well. But the decline and the front porch type vibe is what many in the suburbs will be looking for, to have that sense of community, even though a lot of times it's overstated in those type of environments. But the decline of the front porch has been associated with all types of other changes in our society as well. The lack of industrial jobs that we talked about, again, that are leaving Detroit, leaving St. Louis, leaving Cleveland, and going over to China, India, Mexico. We don't have as many two-parent, single-wage families. And even when there are two-parent families, generally, as was the case certainly in my household, the mother would have to work as well. But as we try and design housing and communities in the 21st century through the new urban planning, there are more and more structures being built with front porches, and that's being something that's really attractive in bringing more families back into the city. Next time, we actually will not meet again until next Friday, where you'll be taking your exam on e-learning. If anybody has any questions or comments about, the exam between now and then, let me know. It'll be structured very much like the midterm, mainly multiple choice, some short answer, some essay. Give those a little bit of thought. Definitely use some of the questions that you saw in the papers as guides for that. And just, again, like one of the things that's been stressed, and you can, I'm obviously not going to tell you what's on the essay question, but we try to throughout like show the connections between these different concepts. And we're talking about suburbanization. The type of critical thinking essay question might be something that asks you to be able to explain how, like, urban laws and urban structures and how family life was lived, all the other things influence and correlated with how suburbs were constructed later on. And suburbs are a direct response to the industrial urbanization that we've talked about throughout. It's been wonderful instructing you all. Again, please make sure that you do not miss the exam. If you have any troubles with that at all, let me know as soon as possible that day. I'll send y'all reminders between now and then. It shouldn't take you very long, but please make sure you're prepared to take it at 11 a.m. At 11 a.m. It's going to close you out after 1 p.m. So make sure, again, you're available to take it at 11 a.m. And take the next week to really prepare. Are there any questions or comments before we leave for the day?
No, sir.
All right, gentlemen, you all have a good one.
You do the same.